Welcome to the 9th Books and Art from Japan live stream. Welcome to the show. Welcome. I'm gonna as always, talk about books that I've written and have been printed. This is just a sample, but have been printed on washi paper with art inside of them. I'm gonna speak about my latest Yokai Shadows book with special art printed inside. That was the second Kickstarter for that. Live on Instagram and YouTube. Been a while since I've done it in the morning. I just had one maybe less than 12 hours ago. In the evening, but I've come to realize all of you folks in the States, in Europe, are awake at this time. And when I do it in the evening time here in Japan, it is morning for you, or afternoon, and most of you are at work. Doesn't really work out. Ha ha, ha ha. But yes, today as always, starting off with a little story. This is not Yokai Shadows, but this is Shokunin Heart. Shokunin Heart, welcome to the show, Alicia. Shokunin Heart. So I'm going to speak about the first instance that I met a real shokunin. So what is shokunin? Shokunin is artisan. Artisan, Japanese artisan. Except it's not that they just are good at a craft. They dedicate their lives to a certain skill set, a certain craft, but it's a lifestyle. It's not just get up, go to work, blah, 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 finish, done. It's everything. Everything within their being is dedicated to mastering one craft. And actually, this book probably has more instances of what I want to talk about. Shokunin Universe. This was the first time that I seriously considered writing about shokunin. It has multiple stories inside from real interviews that I've done with shokunin artisans across Japan. First, I gotta tell you something. I love shokunin so much that I named my company in Japan Shokunin Mode. Shokunin Mode, and yes, it's a play on that old Naruto Sennin mode, where you jump into that sage-like state. Same thing with this shokunin. I see them and saw them as complete masters of the craft, as they are, but also in their lifestyle. Everything is about congruency. And so whenever I sit down to write, I try to go into that state of just fully present. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm writing, I'm creating something, creating a new world. Shokunin, that shokunin mindset. That is why I named my company Shokunin Mode. Welcome to the show. We're here speaking about books in Japan, books and art from Japan. Shokunin Universe contains several interviews that I've done with shokunin artisans across Japan. So I named my company Shokunin Mode. I'm in my 3rd year now. Started May 17, 2022. Yeah, as with any company, ups and downs. But just like a shokunin, you stay consistent, you take responsibility, you take accountability, you move forward. First shokunin that I interviewed was actually a longbow shokunin. Gotta make sure I get all the gestures for the people at home to understand longbow. That was back probably in the middle of 2020, August 2020. Of course, world is going crazy. We all know why. I was lucky to be in Japan at the time. And things, were a bit slower on this side of the world. The panic, there wasn't much panic because people were prepared, always mask wearing culture, not a lot of problems. Also, the borders were shut down, so I was in a unique position. These shokunin artisans have to spend most of their time, 80 to 90%, making things. But you gotta think, they gotta get their products in the hands of customers. And a lot of them are just straight artisan lifestyle, don't really know about marketing. Or don't put a lot of effort into marketing. It depends on the person, of course, and what generation they are in the lineage, the family lineage. But I was in a unique position to take advantage of that. Yokoso! It was middle of 2020. People needed help. And so I basically said, all right, this is my opportunity. This is my chance to meet these shokunin artisans. Take their products and introduce them to Westerners abroad. Oh, seiryu! Yokoso! Hisashiburi de gozaimasu. These artisans basically didn't have an opportunity to introduce their art to customers abroad. And so, especially with the borders closed, they didn't have a lot of tourists visiting their cities, visiting their shops. So what I did is I emailed all these artisans. I called them up and I said, listen. I didn't say listen. I was like, do you guys need help promoting your art and products to Westerners? And of course I showed them my line of credentials. Oh, I've been on NHK. I did NHK World Journeys in Japan 4 different times. And yeah, I was just like, listen, I also have a newsletter of Japanophile enthusiasts who basically want your products. Would you be okay with me interviewing you? David, welcome, David. Here talking about Japanese art and my first instances of meeting Japanese artisans and interviewing them so that I could introduce their products like these Japanese dolls, Japanese pottery, Japanese masks, etc. to the West. Japanese masks like this. No theater masks. And yeah, David, where are you joining from? Are you based in Japan? That was the first instance. And so I emailed all of these Japanese artisans across Japan, and basically I got 40 different artisans that said, yes, you can come to our studios and interview us, etc. David is based in the USA, North Carolina. Yeah, I'm from Florida originally, but now I live in Japan. North Carolina, interesting. Are there a lot of Japanese people in North Carolina? Or is there any Japanese gardens or museums in North Carolina? And so I traveled across Japan, 40 different artisans, went to their studios, spent 3 to 4 hours interviewing these people that I just spoke to on the phone or emailed. They were super open about everything because it's 2020. The world was shut down. Japan's borders were closed. They needed a way to reach basically foreigners, Westerners interested in Japanese art. And so I took that opportunity, went there, interviewed them, and now there's like 40 different documentaries that you can watch. If you want access to that, all you have to do is email me, info@rawjapanart.com. David, thank you. I appreciate that. Are you, well, two questions. Do you read fiction? And do you collect art? Welcome, Lane Lewis, to the show. Here talking about Japanese art and books that I've written, like this, Shokunin Universe, as well as other books like this, Shokunin Heart. This is just a sample, but it includes different art that gives you, different stuff about the story. Oh, very nice. So, David, you do read fiction and you do collect art. Very nice. What type of fiction do you typically read? Do you read fantasy like this? Obviously, I didn't write this. This is my favorite author, Marlon Jane, Jamaican just like me. But obviously, he's born and raised in Jamaica. I was born and raised in Florida. Or do you read thrillers? What type of genre do you typically read? Alright, you do read fantasy. Very nice, very nice. What type of fantasy? Is it epic fantasy, etc.? What are you into? But yes, 40 different artisans that I've interviewed across Japan. They taught me so much about what it means to create art with your whole self, your whole chest. Like Kevin Hart says, say it with your chest. They dedicate their lives to that stuff, and I had so much respect for them. That's why I named my company Shokunin Mode in Japan. Currently on my third year now, offering books and art from Japan. Some of that art also included are Japanese dolls like this. Japanese doll. This is a Children's Day doll. Very intricate, as you can see. The different pieces of kimono, intricately detailed as if it were real life. If you want any of these, you can collect these as well. Again, send me an email, info@rawjapanart.com if you want access to these art styles. Actually, I should write it in the comments now. Yeah. What type of fantasy do you typically read, David? And for the people on YouTube, do you read fiction? Do you collect art? If so, drop it in the chat. Yes, no, maybe so. But yes, back to the Shokunin Universe. 40 different artisans, and this is across all different types of genres. You got metal crafts, wood crafts, you got instruments. Actually, I can show you using this book here. Instruments, and David says mix of all, and sci-fi. Very nice, very nice. Welcome to the show, Jay. Welcome to the show, guys. Here talking about books and art from Japan. Books and art from Japan. Very nice. Mix of all and sci-fi. Okay, David. Yeah. And when we speak of sci-fi, we're talking maybe a little bit of Dune? Are we talking a little bit of Dune? I only recently got into this series because of the movie. I'm not there are people that have been super fans since way back, since it was first published. I think, what was it, the 60s? When did you first publish this? Yeah, 1965. 1965, yeah. Are you a fan of Dune? Okay. Yeah, nice. Nice. Yeah, I've been wanting to get into more sci-fi and fantasy. If you have any recommendations. Actually, direct question. Do you have any fantasy or sci-fi books based in Asia that you recommend? Alright, so Shokunin Universe. What goes on in this story? Basically, my experiences, it's fiction obviously, so it's not non-fiction or memoir or something like that. It's stories of me going to these different studios across Japan. You see artisans dedicating their lives to crafts like this and basically learning from those people. The main character, as you can see, she is a black woman and she is from an undisclosed African country. She used to work for this intelligence agency for her country, so spy shit. And, you know, with all the spy shit comes a lot of offing people. And she's mentally stressed, damaged. I want peace of mind. That's how she feels. So she goes to Japan and goes on this spiritual journey of, okay, I'm going to go across the country and meet all these different artisans. Part of that is, you know, how I went about my Shokunin Mood project, which is what the documentary playlist is called, Shokunin Mood. Welcome to the show, Diego and Yuma-san. Here talking about Japanese art. And yeah, so in the book, she travels to all these artisans and asks them for their advice on things and tries to follow the way they create art and apply those same principles to her own life so that she can... Oh, thank you for coming, David. I appreciate you. Yeah, for her own life and apply the principles she learned from different artisans. Obviously, making art and stuff is tough. It's hard on the body, etc. Stuff like this, very difficult. And, but she saw it as a way to achieve peace of mind. So she traveled around the country, meeting different artisans, learning from their art styles. And on the way, she starts to realize, oh wait, these artisans are controlled by a massive organization that runs Japan. And it's the cabal, right? It's always these story thrillers. There's always a super secret organization. You need that. It's part of the puzzle. And so I wrote that into the book as she goes around meeting different artisans across Japan. And she starts to see that I have to tap into my past, my intelligence past, working as a spy for my country, which she was trying to escape by coming to Japan. But she realizes that's the only way that she's able to actually contribute to these artisans. Instead of just coming to take, she says, I need something to give. And so this was part of it, giving to these artisans through protection and espionage. And so she starts to fight back on behalf of the artisans, starts to fight the secret organization whose symbol is an owl, like this, owl. Welcome, Michaela, to the show. We're here talking about books and art from Japan. And so she starts to fight back against this owl organization. And owl in Japanese is Fukuro. So Fukuro is the name of the organization based off of this digital art character. And she fights. And over time, she starts to see more of who she is, as well as the deeper parts of Japan you can't see as a tourist. But as she gets deeper and starts to be part of the team of the artisans, she starts to understand, whoa, it's not everything is what you see on the surface. And that's, again, as an author, the characters and the stories you write contain pieces of yourself, and Shokunin Universe is no different. A lot of the stuff I've experienced, I've welcomed Danielle Hendrick to the show. We're here talking about Japanese art and books that I have produced and published based on my experiences here in Japan. Yeah, so that is Shokunin Universe. That is like a fantasy thriller vibes. But Shokunin Heart, a little bit different. Again, this is just a sample. That's why it's so short. Wanted to see how art looked printed within the book on washi paper. And so, I wonder if I actually have the full printed one over here. No, I do not. No, I do not. Let me see. Alright, so last night I spoke about my last live show. I spoke about no theater, no masks. And of course, we can get into that. But first I gotta tell you, quick story. Okay, so the first instance of no theater that I experienced was 2012 in Tokyo. First time I see it, I felt like I was tripping on psychedelics. It was amazing. I was in a different world. I was transported. It was a combination of the music, the dancing, the storytelling. All of those things came together to produce a different world on stage. Personally, I'm not a big fan of musicals, but this felt different. This was amazing. No theater really pushed my boundaries and what I could imagine on stage performance to be. I was amazed. This is a 3D print of a no theater mask. I showed this on the last night's live as well, so I'm not going to get into that. But that first experience, I really felt like I was transported to a fantasy world in Japan. And so more and more I started to become interested in different folklore in Japan. And part of that is yokai. Yokai, which are different mythological beasts based in Japan. You can see a lot of these are everyday products that they use in their life. It's not the page. Like this. Look at this knife. A knife that is alive. A knife that is alive. And has become a beast. These are beasts, ghosts, demons, a combination of multiple things that illustrate what life was like back in the day. And a lot of people will say that, oh, yokai were just, it was just the imagination of psychotic people. I think it was a way for people to process the world around them. People process reality through stories. And so the artists, the writers that wrote these stories, conjured up these characters, were just trying to process their world. They might have seen somebody in the river doing some weird things, eating people. All right, that's a kappa. Or just like the Loch Ness from the UK. A way for them to teach their children, don't do dangerous stuff. Don't go down to the river. There's a river demon called the kappa that will eat your legs, eat your arms, tear your body, limb from limb, as a way to scare their kids straight. And it seems like it works. But over time, these stories grew and propagated and became something bigger than their origin. A lot of these stories are widespread in Japan. And so I said, the first time I encountered that, I was like, all right, I want to combine different elements of Japan that I've experienced so far. Shokunin Universe demonstrates that, right? It's a combination of shokunin, but also real experiences that I've had in Japan, and some fantastical elements that you can find in yokai stories like this. This is a good series if you're interested in this. You can find it on Amazon. 3 different books with different yokai, different stories about how Japanese people process their reality through life. Yokai shadows. Yeah, if you have any different questions, and if you're watching the replay, if you're interested in yokai or Japanese art or books, all you have to do is send me an email at info@rawjapanart.com. And let me see if I can actually type on YouTube here. If you're interested in that, just email me with the subject, oh, I watched your live, etc. And you can, I will email you back. And we can have a conversation in the inbox. Alright. So that is yokai. Yokai shadows is the second, or I should say, okay, let's make this super easy to understand. Shokunin Heart. After I wrote Shokunin Universe, I was like, alright, that's a fantasy. But romance is a huge genre I want to write to market. I want to understand why romance readers are so voracious and avid readers. So I started reading more romance. I decided, alright, Shokunin Heart is going to be a series, a romance series based in Japan, but still combining multiple elements. And I think I do this because I am mixed. Jamaican, quarter Chinese, born and raised in the States. It's a mix, different philosophies, different ways of living, different everything. And it's no different with the books. I want to combine different elements. So, still got the fantasy elements, but I said, alright, let's make it romantic. Heart, Shokunin Heart. Ha. Romance, heart, love. It's not as easy as that. Of course, there are other things to consider. Welcome to the show. We're here talking about Japanese art and books. Welcome to the show. We got Tyler, we got Jimmy, we got Amaya Uchiyama-san in English Event Company. Chris and Misako-san. Which one is it actually? Is it Chris or is it Misako? Anyway, that is why I started to write romance. I said, alright, most of the readers, it's like, I think the stats are like 80% of readers that buy books in America are female. go take a look at the Amazon charts as well. A lot of the books that are selling have some type of romantic subplot. And I said, all right, if I'm going to keep writing romance, I got to keep the fantasy involved. Misako, you look great, Brandon. That sounds like Misako-san. Welcome, Misako-san. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I look sharp, yeah? Looking sharp, yeah? Barbara, thank you for joining. 参加していただいてありがとうございます。We're here talking about romance novels as well as Japanese art. Anybody in the chat, do you read romance? Do you read romance novels? I'm curious. And if you do, what artist, who is your favorite author? Hi, Tsune-san, yokoso, yokoso. Yeah, so romance has... Hello, Barbara, Misako-san, mata yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Romance novels, yes. I think romance is the biggest, probably biggest... Okay, no, I think it's mystery, thriller, suspense is the biggest book market. But after that, it's all romance and smut. And I said, all right, if I want to reach readers that just gobble up your books, I got to tap into the romance market. And so that's what I started to write. Okay, Shokunin Heart, let's write something in the romance genre. Again, this is just a sample printed on washi paper with different art inside. I wanted just to test how it would look with different art inside. So I started to write inside this series, Shokunin Heart, and then I started to realize, I think I need to completely branch away from shokunin. And that's why I wrote Yokai Shadows. Don't have it with me right now. It's in the room, the next room over there. But that's the gist of the transition, writing different genres. First, I started off with thrillers. Tried my hand at sci-fi, tried my hand at historical fiction. Now I'm coming to fantasy as well as some romance. So fantasy romance. Anybody in the chat, what is your favorite fantasy romance author or story? Let me see if I can see this here. Favorite romance story or author? Drop it in the chat. Yeah, Shokunin Universe. And of course, a little bit of Japanese art, like we were speaking about before. Yeah, I didn't show you this yet. I didn't show anybody this yet. This guy right here. Now, we spoke about the book that he produced on last night's live show. But this is Otsuki-san from Kyoto. And he makes Japanese no masks. Like this. And so, like I was speaking about, combining different elements into my books, because I myself am a mix of different elements. Jamaican background, Chinese, a little bit of Chinese inside of me. Born and raised in the States. Grew up in white spaces. A lot of different mixes there. So Attended karate for 10 years in the US. So all different types of philosophies, elements mixed into one thing. That's what I want to do with my books. Yokai Shadows is no different. That's why I included No Theta Mask as well as Yokai Shadows. And this guy, Otsuki-san, based in Kyoto, is very well known in the No Mask world. I'm going to read some of this actually. Here we go. Let's see. To a no actor, even the act of donning the mask is an esoteric ritual involving channeling the character by staring into a mirror for an extended period of time. Once the mask is put on, the actor ceases to be the mask, one of 60 different types, depending on the play, is the character. Each no mask is carved from a single block of cypress, Japanese cypress wood. Oftentimes, a mask is only used in one performance, yet they are revered and treasured for their beauty and craftsmanship, often finding themselves objects of desire for wealthy collectors or on display at museums around the world. So I was saying on last night's live, no masks that I offer at my website retail for $5,000 US, and for most people that is out of their budget. But again, like it says in this text, typically reserved for wealthy collectors, people that want to show their appreciation for art and history, typically collect these masks. So no mask carvers such as Otsuki are highly respected artisans. I got into wood carving when I was 20, mainly because a friend of mine was doing it. Otsuki says, it wasn't as if I was born into a family of mask carvers. Apprenticing to a Kyoto-based no mask carver started the artisan upon a career spanning 50 years and hundreds upon hundreds of masks. The most recognizable no mask is of a woman, characterized by a white face framed by painted black hair and red lips. The mouth opened in an expressionless rictus. The eyes are flat and staring, yet somehow the mask is eerily lifelike. This surreal feeling comes from the interplay of light on the precisely carved angles of the surface. A skilled performer uses this quality to convey emotion on what is in fact a static wooden mask. Tilting the head down places the mask in shadow, denoting anger or evil intent. We spoke about that on last night's live, right? Raising one's face to the light is supposed to signal a woman in a joyful mood. And as you can see, they have the picture of the mask here. Yeah, that is, alright, let me see this last thing right here. You have to be careful around the eyes, Otsuki says. The angle of the eyes can change the character completely. Indeed, subtle differences in the slant of the eyes will denote whether the character being played is in love, possessed by a demon, innocently youthful, or vengeful and old. I think that's the same thing with people. You can see it in the eyes. The soul speaks through the eyes, right? What do you see in my eyes? What do you see? What do you see in my eyes? In addition to these distinctions, Otsuki remarks upon the subtle unevenness, just like that of human faces. That is deliberately carved into all masks. It's unnatural if the face is too even, he explains. Once the mask is carved to his satisfaction, it is covered in gofun, white pigment made of crushed seashells, and details such as the eyes and hair are painted on. These days, in addition to fulfilling new orders, Otsuki frequently holds mask carving workshops for aspiring professionals and enthusiasts alike in his Kyoto and Kamakura ateliers. Atelier. Visitors to his Kyoto workshop can marvel at the dozens of masks stored there, the result of incredible talent and decades of dedicated masks. As you can see, he's there in his studio, Otsuki-san, in Kyoto, carving Japanese masks from a single block of wood. I'm interested to know, like, Barbara and Jimmy, what do you guys think about what type of art have you collected in the past? What type of art have you bought for other people? Drop it in the chat. Let's have a conversation. Yeah, that explains a lot about why I like Japanese masks. It's not all symmetrical and perfect, right? It encapsulates the unevenness and imperfection of people, humans. That is why I like Japanese no masks just like this. Yeah. And just like this. Yeah, but what type of art do you enjoy viewing? What type of art do you enjoy collecting? Drop it in the chat. But I really enjoy this book because it explains different like environments and stuff like that. What surrounds? Welcome, Chris Japan. Welcome to the show. We're here talking about Japanese art and the stuff that goes into them. Like these nature spots. Ooh. Gotta get my charger for my computer. I don't know how I always forget the charger. Barbara says, art, I play drums and they are intricately carved. Oh, very nice. What type of drums do you play, Barbara? Are they African drums? Are they Asian drums? Where are they from? Or are we talking about rock band drums? Let's see if they actually have drums in this book. Oh, that reminds me. The first, welcome Louise to the show. I think it was back 2011. First time I came to Japan, I went to 3 different cities within 6 weeks. Barbara says, djembe and dundun, West African drums. Nice. I've never heard of dundun before. When we say West Africa, which country are we speaking about? And I was 19. I was fresh, sophomore in university, and they have this thing called the sophomore slump. You get into this. It's not depression, but you're just like, what am I doing? I was studying dentistry, and I was like, I don't want to do this. What am I doing? And my roommate gave me, a fistful of magic mushrooms. And I said, I'll take it. And boom. Love it. Chris says, much love, gotta work, respect. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. I appreciate you joining. Barbara says, Guinea and Ghana. Yes, so Guinea-Bissau I trace my DNA to African, and through a company called African Ancestry. They traced